Sir.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Yeah. I think first of all, I'm thankful to this organized CMDR for having given me the opportunity to spend some time with all of you. Not some time, just I'm going to be here for 2 sessions continuously. In these 2 sessions, I would like to focus on mainly on a kind of inferential statistics. In the first session, I would like to give some kind of conceptual framework. I don't know whether someone has covered already or not, that I don't know. Just I would, first you have to get familiarity with the concept of this inferential statistics, that too particularly statistical inference. After this, I would like to take some research cases, particularly on the estimation of different, see, in 2 sessions, what I planned is, my plan is to cover some of the inferential statistical techniques which are being very widely used by social scientists, particularly the faculties from, the scholars from economics, commerce, and other that kind of subjects. I will focus on that. And see, as all of you know, if we analyze the research publications or theses published by the economists, commerce, management people, even partly sociologists, the very widely used statistical techniques are t-test and also ANOVA, analysis of variance, and also chi-square test, and that too, if there are any social, pure, these scholars from social science background like sociology or political science or psychology, even that chi-square test is also the one which is being very widely used. So I will focus on these things, estimation of these aspects, these statistics, procedure that involved in estimation and interpretation and circumstance research cases, and under what circumstance that kind of test can be applied, how to draw the inference by using that. This is my plan. Before I am going to the hardcore case analysis, I would like to give some conceptual framework in the first session. In this in the beginning. Yeah, I think whenever we use, and before I am beginning, let me make it more interactive in nature rather than a kind of monotonous presentation by me. You see, most, I have so far guided 15 PhD students have awarded under my guidance, and also probably as far as data analysis is concerned, I have given some advice, some kind of consultancy service to not less than some 25 to, so totally I know the research done by not less than 100 students, I can say, in my service. But very common mistake that I observe is, the research scholars, particularly the beginners, they are in the perception that the data analysis process will start after the collection of the data. Data analysis work will start after the collection of the data, and my sincere advice is, please come out of that kind of mindset. Data analysis work is not the task which start after the collection of the data. In fact, right from the beginning of your research, you should have some idea on the data analysis, because here and there and now and then scholars used to tell, no sir, first let me have some problem and let me complete my review of literature work, and still I am not to that extent. Only after coming, after some completion of 1 or 2 years, I will focus on data analysis. the data. So that's the kind of thing. See, if you are in that, research is a process. It should have a continuous flow. You should have a comprehension. Comprehension right from defining and designing your research problem till the end. You should have comprehension about your research issue, research topic. Otherwise, if there is no flow, if there is no continuity in the process, or if you don't have comprehension about the interlinkages between all the stages, somewhere you will commit some mistake. Why I am telling this? See, I know some of the people, since I know little bit about this inferential statistics, people used to come for my consultancy. Those who used to come to my consultancy, my advice, they used to bring data in form of some kind of master table. They used to bring some master table. Normally, some 25 years back, people used to write the master table in the papers. That very interestingly, what happens, once what happened, even in the 2000, in the year 2000, I come across first candidate who come for my consultancy. He has brought the data in a folded paper. And he brought the data, sir, his guide also, his guide was my good friend, Professor, you might have heard, Professor Mugai, who was the Professor of Management. One of his students, he brought the data, he asked me, just advise him about some statistical techniques that could be applied for this research. He brought the data, and when after bringing that data, we sit together. Just he has given one end of that paper and he just keep on opening the paper. It was something like a 10 to almost 10 foot length. Pasted one paper after the other, one paper after the other. That was the kind of the difficulty that researcher had before 25 years. Imagine how fortunate you are now. You are fortunate because you have, you have different kinds of technologies to help. You have spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheet, and also now people started collecting the data by using your the Google form. You are using different kind of strategies where you need not bother much about preparation of the schedule first. See, after having discussion with that scholar, just analyzed the title. After that, analyzed the objectives. For that, I developed a notion, what are the data required to prepare or to fulfill these objectives. After that, just I keep on observing the data that he was collected, which he has written in the master table, which the length of which was about 6 to 8 foot. If I analyze the data, there was mismatch between the data that was available, the data required for the objectives. There was a mismatch between the data required for fulfilling that objective and the data that he has collected. And so almost that he has come by that time. I'm sorry, some people reduce the sound. Already he was at the verge of submission of the thesis. Time was almost some 3-4 months left over to complete thesis. When data collection has also started, has already completed. There was mismatch between the data requirement and the data available with this master data set. And he has requested someone who have to manage help me to come out of this issue. What? Am I God to create the data? See, it is just one instance that I told. It happens many a times. So based on that experience, we are doing research under my guidance. First, what I expect them to do is, you have clearly defined your research problem. You have specified your hypothesis also. You know the objectives. You know what specific outcomes you have to do. Before going for data collection, particularly for primary data-based research, prepare the dummy table. Dummy table are the one which guide you about the data requirement for your research. Dummy Dummy table means just give some heading to a table. Give the column headings, row headings, so that it gives you an idea. Prepare some minimum, sometimes you may not able to prepare all the 50 tables. See, ideally, for a research, some 30 to 50 tables are quite good number. Prepare at least some 30 tables consisting of some column headings, row headings and all, so that you can understand the data requirement. Because see, it is enough if you have a good quality data, maybe for some 50 to 100 variables. If you have a very good quality data on around some 50 variables, depending upon the nature of the study, that's good. See what happens, some scholars used to prepare this research schedule which runs for 15 pages, 20 pages, which needs not less than 45 to 1 hour to collect data from just one sample respondent. How many of you have experience in data collection? How many of you are having already some experience in the data collection? ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ data collection ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅನುಭವ ಇದೆ? At how long a respondent could coolly, cooperatively respond to your questions? How long? How long you can retain the interest of the data provider?
10 minutes.
Maybe 10 minutes?
Yes.
15 minutes?
No, not more.
Maximum 15-20 minutes. After that, if you keep on that too, if you effectively motivate the scholar, you clear them your objective, and if you have develop very good rapport with them, then definitely they can spend some 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes with you. Otherwise, very interesting. I started my career as a researcher because I agriculture university first assistant professor instructor. My job is to have some research project, keep on collecting the data, visiting the villages. ನನಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇದೆ, ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, 5 ರಿಂದ 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವೇನಾದರೂ ನಿಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದು ಎಕರೆಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮೆಕ್ಕೆಜೋಳ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಹತ್ತಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ ಬರ್ಕಳಿಸ ಒಂದು 5 ಕ್ವಿಂಟಲ್. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏಜ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂದರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಬರ್ಕಳಿಸ ಒಂದು 5 ಕ್ವಿಂಟಲ್. So their interest will get diverted. They will get diverted. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಸರ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಟಿವಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಸರ್? ಯಾಕ್ರಿ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಸಿ that's the kind of response. What I mean, data collection. You have to plan. Why I'm telling all these things? Before you are going to collect the data, thoroughly understand your objectives. Thoroughly understand the kind of tables that you have to prepare. Identify and specify what are the most important variables for your study. What are the most important? Let us confine my study only to some of the variables which are very, very essential to my research, without which I cannot do the research. Focus on that. And rather than collecting unwanted, and you can do one more research. Do some research on what is the length of a schedule. In that schedule, how many variables are included in the schedule of a researcher, and what percent of that data actually being utilized to write the thesis? Not even 25%. If you conduct a survey, if you look at the schedule, if you ascertain the variables that are being included in the schedule, and if you analyze which variables are particularly utilized in writing that thesis, not even 25% of the data that could be collected from that schedule is being utilized. If that is the case, why you need so much of lengthy schedule? Why you need so many variables? Is it just to torture a research data provider? The people feel that you are torturing them.
That means we are not asking the general question.
Yeah, I mean to say, don't skip most important data. Don't include unnecessary data. ನಿಮಗೆ ಡೇಟಾ ಅವರು ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಕೊಡಂಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅನಗತ್ಯವಾಗಿರೋ ಡೇಟಾ ತಗೊಳೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಅಂಡ್ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಡೇಟಾನ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಬರ್ಕೊಳಂಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವರು ಡೇಟಾ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆ, ಅವರ ಸುತ್ತ, ಅವ್ರ ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಓನ್ ಸೋಶಿಯೋ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಸೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ just a situation speaks thousands of words which you cannot collect from the vocal presentation. Okay, I think with this way, I mean to say, see, the data, though the data analysis work start, though this inferential statistical technique and its application start after the collection of the data, you should have the comprehension about all those things. If you should have the planning about all those things, just in the very beginning, soon after you have defined your research problem. Defined in the sense, yeah, I have finalized the title, I have finalized the objectives. For these objectives, I think I need data on this variable. I have to present this data in this format, and I can use this kind of statistical technique to analyze the data. I can use this kind of inferential statistics to draw the inference. Like that, you have to develop the comprehension just well in the beginning, so that you can understand what is most important. See, all data is important, but within that data, which is more for my core intention, core objective, what data is most important, that you will understand. If you understand that, I am sure that you could manage the data collection very efficiently, and you could ensure good quality of the data that you have collected. So therefore, you just develop that kind of mindset. With that, you know that, see, ultimately, what is the most ultimate objective of your research? What is the ultimate objective of your research? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಯ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಒಂದು ಫೈನಲ್, what is the ultimate goal?
Give the useful solution.
Yeah, you have to draw inference about your research questions.
Yes.
You have to draw inference. You have to draw inference. In fact, this you are any scientific research for that matter. Through that, any scientific researcher wish to draw inference based on the data analysis. Okay,
yes.
That inference. So therefore, that is most important. This is the most important component of the research. But unfortunately, see, any education institutions focus more on this data analysis component, because in the process of that research, you develop an idea about how to draw inference about a situation, about a problem. It's a critically, how you are good at critically analyzing an issue, and how good you are at drawing inference about a problem. If you are good in that, sure that in any given new situation, it is indirectly mean that you have a skill of analyzing any problem and also able to draw conclusion or to draw inference about that particular any new kind of situation. So it means that, see, the ultimate objective of any higher education is to enable you to take right decision.
Yes.
It has to train you to draw the right inference in order to enable you to take the right decision. For that, your mind has to be trained. But unfortunately, I know that, particularly in the traditional universities, majority of the scholar, they feel that this data analysis work and this process of drawing inference about a given situation is something like a task which is to be outsourced. With the data, even whenever I go for YOS examination, okay, come on, tell me, how did you draw that inference? People used to say, how did you calculate it? This is a given situation. Whether you have used that pair t-test or independent t-test. If I ask that question, no, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ರಿ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಒಬ್ಬರ ಹತ್ರ ನಾನು ಸಜೆಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ರಿ ಸರ್. This is the most frequently expected answer in that. Unfortunately, if you are very serious about that issue, we can draw, no, you are not fit for a doctorate degree. But unfortunately, considering the humanitarian situation, okay, he has already completed 4 years of his research work. Now, doctor committee has to, by the time, to have taken care of that. Progress report alle cut ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಎನ್ಕರೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 4 ವರ್ಷ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಪಾಪ. 4 years he has completed. Okay. Committee is unanimously recommended for the award of the Doctor of Philosophy in Economics or Commerce or so. So it is not the task to be outsourced. Please learn it. Yeah. See, inference, yeah. As all of you know, this is something like statistical inference. It is mainly intended to draw conclusion about population by using inferential statistical techniques. Right? Again, this technique, it is a technique, and these are the techniques which are used to draw conclusion about population. See, I have given a small flow chart. So this is a population. From that population, sorry, we draw a sample from the population. We just analyze the sample data, not the population data. And based on that sample data, though we are analyzing this sample data, our intention is not just to draw conclusion about only that sample. Our focus is not just the sample, but our focus is the population. So therefore, we are using the inferential statistics. Okay, and in fact, it is a process of generalization from sample to population. So in this process, in fact, it is intended to understand the characteristics of the population parameter. The parameter is the characteristics of the population. So it is just simply like, even if you want to know whether the rice is properly boiled or not, you may take 1 or 2 grains of rice and you can taste it. Your intention is not just to understand that 2 grains. You have to understand whether the entire vessel of that rice is properly boiled or not. So you have to take sample very carefully. You don't take on the top of that, and at the same time you are never bothered about to taking bottom grains. You will use to take middle grain. At the almost from the central part of that vessel, you used to draw some 2 grains. So therefore, the population characteristics are the parameters, and the sample, we used to say sample. You calculate some average value for sample. That's called statistic. That's a statistics. Based on the statistics, we are trying to draw conclusion about the parameter. Statistics is the characteristics of the sample. Parameter is the characteristics of the population. The transformation, the process of understanding the population parameter based on the statistics is this inference. Is the crux of this applications of this inferential statistics. And it involves both hypothesis testing and also estimations. It has 2 important points. Mainly 90% we focus on hypothesis testing. But in some of the studies, these techniques are also being used for the estimation. Estimation that may be point estimation or interval estimation. Let me very brief. See, again, as I already mentioned, estimation it involves, we are trying to estimate the population parameter, either in terms of point value. If we estimate only one single value, we used to call it as a point estimator. If we try to calculate some range of values, we used to call it as an interval estimation. And in case of this interval estimation, you can understand the components of this. Say, for example, x bar is a statistic, sample statistics, plus or minus, because range means lower than that population value, higher than that. That is some, if its sample size is t, we used to take table value of t.
Yes, sir.
Table value of t, and this standard error, sigma divided by root of n. standard error. For everything in inferential statistical technique, we used to calculate the standard error. So these are the components of the what we call this interval estimation. Let me give some simple example for this. My focus is on case analysis.
Yes.
Right? Just let me take some simple examples and even estimation, interpretation, everything, and relevance, and what technique and why relevant, all those things. See, there was one study on impact of IPM technology on cotton productivity. In fact, this was research done when I was in Agriculture University. In fact, I was doing research on integrated pest management technology. It is old one. Technology is already old now, but of course, still it has relevance. Yeah, the objective was to estimate the cotton yield obtained by the farmers who have adopted the IPM technology. I wanted to estimate. See, already, pest management can be done by traditional method or integrated pest management technology. So, when IPM was new innovation, what yield a farmer can get by using this IPM technology. That was my objective. So, for that study, it is intended to estimate the yield. I mean, even if I can estimate either single point estimator, or I could also have some.
So what's your objective? Tell me, sir. What's your objective?
To estimate the cotton yield obtained by the farmers who have adopted the IPM technology.
Adapting the IPM.
Who have adopted the IPM technology.
Okay, sir.
See, if estimation is, that focus on the estimation. Whereas to analyze the impact of IPM on cotton yield, compare the cotton yield obtained by the farmers who have adopted the IPM with that of the farmers who have not adopted the farmers. It can also be used for hypothesis testing also. If my intention is estimation, how much yield a farmer can get by adopting the technology. If my intention is just to draw some inference or to test some hypothesis, it will be like this. I have written HA, alternative hypothesis. See, cotton yield obtained by the farmers who have adopted the IPM is significantly more when compared to the farmers who have not adopted this technology. This is how we used to draw the alternative hypothesis, not the research hypothesis. It is not the null hypothesis. That's what I have written, alternative hypothesis. This, for the same study, if focus is on this, we go for the estimation. If we focus on this, we are going for testing the hypothesis. See, what we have to use, it depends upon what is your core objective of your research. So, based on that, you have to draw the conclusion. You have to decide. So, here, assume that I have data on the farmers who have adopted the IPM technology, IPM, quintal per hectare, sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, like that. I have data on 24 sample respondents. Just have the cursor here is equal to, see, in fact, now it's something, and one more thing I used to tell you. Now, I know the problem. I feel the researcher of this generation are fortunate. You are fortunate. You are such a fortunate that now you have access to the technology wherein even you can try for preparing the research thesis in 1 month.
No, sir.
Yeah, you can. Give me a pen. I can generate you a thesis in 15 days. Use all AI tools. Use all AI tools. AI will do on behalf of you. But if you are going to do that thesis by using AI tool, it is something like, calculator ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪನ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ 30 ತನಕ ಮಗ್ಗಿ ಮುಂದಿಂದ ಹಿಂದಿಂದ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ದುರ್ಗಪ್ಪ ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು 25 ಜನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 23 ಜನ ಕೂಲಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಂದಾರೆ, 5 ಜನ 4 ಜನ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡೋದು ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಪಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಹಾಕೋದು. ಸೊ So your brain is not working, it has become passive there. See, my apprehension is, if you are so much to the use of these AI tools, in fact, you have not yet flavored, many people have not yet enjoyed the flavor of this AI. If you enjoyed that flavor of, why should I work? Kudre kanda nedibek ansutta. See, kudre idda kudre hachkondu hogbeku. ಹೋಗ್ಲಾದ್ರೆ you are a fool. ದಿನ ಕುದುರೆ ಹತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓಡಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕಾಲೇ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. It's something we don't know. Our research, the very objective of research is to train your brain to think critically, to analyze the issue. But if AI tools are doing on your behalf, what is the work to your brain? I think, ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಪ್ಲೇಗರಿಸಮ್ ಬಂತು, ಪ್ಲೇಗರಿಸಮ್ ಬೈಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ದಾರಿನೂ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂತು, AI ಬಂತು, AI ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಷನ್, AI ಸ್ಕೋರಿಂಗು ಬಂದಿದೆ. I don't know ಮುಂದೇನು ಏನು, how to bypass AI detection. How to bypass AI detection. At least our scholars are critically thinking in that direction. Not all, I am sorry. I mean to say, you are all fortunate that, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Our scholars are so fortunate that just 3 decades back, when I started doing research, just to run a regression for n is equal to 30, covering some 1 dependent variable, some 2 to 3 independent variable, we used to struggle, weave together to estimate that y is equal to a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2 plus b3 x3 or a b1 b2 b3 ಅನ್ನೋ ವರ್ಗ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಒದ್ದಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಅದು ಯಾರೋ 96 ಲೋಟಸ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಬಂತು. ಲೋಟಸ್ ಬಳಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ ಯು ರಿಗ್ರೆಷನ್ ಕೋಎಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್. ವಿ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಸೊ ಗ್ರೇಟ್. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಫ್ಯಾಷನ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಇವಿಸ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಇವಿಸ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಾ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್ SPSS. And people used to bring without knowing ABCD of the MLE, maximum likelihood estimator. People used to say, I am using Tabit model. So what is the Tabit model? I am using the Tabit model. I am using Probit model. Giving the data to some software, it get you the result. It get you the result in some 5 page, 6 page. Keeping all that 5 to 6 page into your thesis. Come and tell me what is that. For example, SPSS give you the output, or some other statistical package give you some output. Come on, understand. Come on, interpret. What is this? That I don't know, sir. It is your duty to explain. It is your duty to explain what all these things are. Please. In fact, I am highlighting the crux. I mean, you are both privileged. At the same time, you have also a lot of other avenues of destruction where your mind get distracted rather than doing creative work. You may find some alternative ways. Kindly remember the fact that research is a process, it is not a product. Research is a process. If you try all the steps of if you go through the entire process, your entire brain will able to understand not only that research. If you understand that research process accurately, any given situation, your mind indirectly get the training of analyzing any given new situation. It will connect intricacies and interrelationship between the variables. It will enable you to draw correct conclusion about a given situation. And in fact, it increases your employability also. Actually, it may not be more relevant for Rangappa because he is already employed. And the young scholars who are yet to try to get job in the corporate sector. If you have time, please kindly download a report card. UNDP has prepared a report on future work. In the sense, job market is changing. Now whatever we thought of, oh, this is the skill, employable skill, that already outdated. It has listed some of these core skills which can enhance your employable capacity. Now critical thinking is the one, innovative mindset, critical thinking, analytical abilities, be innovative, and memory has nothing to do with your life now, because now you have all the tools which can help you to memorize the things. You don't want any memory, because mobile itself is an artificial memory. You can save anything and everything in that mobile. You can get whatever information in a span of one second. You can get whatever kind of information you needed. But sometimes it may not enable you to analyze according to your requirement. In fact, research is a process which enables you to do it. So therefore, what I want, it is not just in social science research, 90% of analysis can be done in Excel.
Yes, sir.
More than 90%. Only some, if you want to do some panel data analysis, which has more number of observations, maybe it is difficult to estimate the statistics with the help of this Excel. Whether you want to do all this, you want to do t-test analysis of ANOVA for one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, even now logic model, advanced Excel logic model can also be estimated in Excel now. So what I mean, this is as far as this point estimation is concerned. As far as this point estimation is concerned, just if you keep cursor here is equal to average, define the range, it will give you some average value. That average value that could be taken as a sample statistics, which is a proxy to the point estimation. Okay, that's a point estimation. You can also take standard is equal to STDEV. You will get the standard deviation which is useful for calculating the standard error. See here, you know that this is x bar plus or minus t value for a given predefined level of significance. If you want for 1% level of significance, you can take that, or if you want 5% level of significance, I will tell you what is that significance and all that. And standard deviation divided by root of n. This is the standard error, table value of t. This is this value is here.
Yes, sir.
Point estimation 14.92. This is 14.92 plus or minus table value of t into this standard deviation is 2.25. Root of 24. It is so this component is standard error component, table value of t. So this simplification, this one into this one. So this value. So just if 14.92 plus 0.778 will give you upper range of value. This one minus this one, lower range. So you will get a range of values. 14.142 to 15 point. So you can
692.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the range of value. This is called interval estimation. Point estimation and interval estimation. This is a one step. We can estimate it. So after that, even for the same thing, you can also calculate t value. Given the farmers who have adopted the IPM technology are able to get higher yield compared to the farmers who have not adopted. That was my alternative hypothesis. Research, I can also say research hypothesis. So for that you can just calculate the t value. calculated t value is here. I will tell you in detail, soon after this thing. So since calculated value is greater than the critical value, both at one tail test and two, I will tell you what is that one tail test, two tail test. Now I am going to cover all those things. With this, let me go into this inference. I mean, the process of statistical inference as this kind of these are the steps involved in drawing the inference about research questions. One is, first you are developing a research question, then in fact you are collecting the sample, representative sample. After collecting this representative sample, you are consolidating the data, then you are conducting the data, and in the first step you are calculating some descriptive statistics. It may be arithmetic mean or median, mode, whatever that may be. You have to estimate that descriptive statistics, and then you are actually you are not exactly developing the hypothesis here. In fact, I tell you honestly, research begins with the hypothesis.
Yes.
If a research begins with the hypothesis, if you are not getting some doubt, some question in your mind, you are not going to take up a research. Because sometimes it misleads. I am developing a hypothesis here means just formally writing, that's it. Research begins from that. Hypothesis will develop in your mind right from that point only, and choose and compute appropriate inferential statistics, whether I have to go for Z test or T test or ANOVA, whatever, what is the test suitable to you, and then you are estimating, you are drawing the inference, then you are writing the report. So this is the step involved in drawing the inference. So with this, let me elaborate on the concept of hypothesis. Hypothesis and hypothesis testing. In fact, as all of you know, hypothesis testing is a process of using statistical technique to determine the probability that a specific hypothesis is true. I mean, that to say specifically, in this entire process, whether the data in my hand is supporting me to reject the null hypothesis or not sufficient to reject the null. Rejecting or otherwise. Whether you are rejecting it or not able to reject it. Focus is on whether to reject or not to reject. And it is even statistics so rigorous that even statistician used to write that don't say that I am accepting alternative hypothesis. Just say that whether you are rejecting the null hypothesis or not rejecting the null, that's enough. Indirectly you can draw the inference. Focus is only on whether rejecting or not rejecting the null hypothesis. So therefore, in fact, hypothesis testing evaluates two mutually exclusive statements about a population to determine which statement is best supported by the sample data. For example, see, membership in self-help groups has enhanced the banking habit among the women. Just by participating in self-help groups, women's banking habit has improved. It is what the idea you have when you are undertaking impact of SHG on banking habit. That's the what is that research hypothesis? That's not which we are later call it as alternative hypothesis. Just quite opposite to that, you are developing a null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is membership in self-help groups has not enhanced the banking habit among. It is quite opposite to this. And you go by the situation. People used to say. Very recent time, a scholar ಬಂದ how many don't know Kannada? How many people are not able to understand Kannada? Only one or two. I just 99% I cover English only, but whenever I want to express my feelings with emotions, even you too can also understand, because emotions doesn't have language barrier. Very recently what happened, ಒಬ್ಬ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅಂದರೆ, ಸರ ನಲ್ ಹೈಪೋಥಿಸ್ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗಂಗೆ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಲ್ರಿ, ನಲ್ ಹೈಪೋಥಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ರಿ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋದು ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾಕೆ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಬಿಲ್ ತಳ್ತೀರಿ, ಅದು ಹೆಸರೇ ಐತಲ್ರಿ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಅವ್ರ ತಲೆಗೇನಿದೆ, ನಲ್ ಹೈಪೋಥಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ is the hypothesis for rejection. ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋಲ್ದ್ರಿ ಸರ, ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಫುಲಿ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಾರೇನ್ರಿ? ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾರ null hypothesis is formulated in such a way as to reject. ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ರ ಅರ್ಥ you have to reject. ಆಗೋಲ್ದ್ರಿ ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿ ಈಗ, ಆಗೋಲ್ದ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಗಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡೋದು. This is what actually people are doing. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ರಿ it has supposed to, ಸಾರಿ, ನಾವು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ನೋಡಿ, ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಮೆನಿ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಫರ್ಗೆಟ್ ದಿ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟೀಸ್. ನೀವು ರಿಸರ್ಚು ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್? ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಚಾಟ್ GPT, if I say generate a research topic in the area of microfinance, this is one way of generating. It gives not new area, somewhere which is told it will give you. If you are opening your sensor organs, ಕಿವಿ ಇದೆ, ಕಣ್ಣು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಜರ್ನಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪಕ್ಕದಾಗ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡ ನಾವು ಬೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಊರು ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಲ್ಲ ದೋಸ್ತ, ನಮ್ಮೂರು ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾನ, ಹಾಳಾಗೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮೂರು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಏನು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲೇ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ, ಅದು ಯಾರೋ ಸಂಘದವರು, ರೇಣುಕಾ ಎಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದವರು ಒಂದು 5-6 ಜನ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಆ ಮಂಜಕ್ಕನ ಗಂಡನ್ನ ಬೆವರಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಏನು ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್? ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿ ಹೊಡೆದಾನೆ, ಇವ್ರು 10 ಜನ ಹೋಗಿ ನೀನು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಹೊಡೆದೆ, ಒಳಗೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಅಂತ ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯಾ it means self-help groups giving strength to women. If you get that idea, let us verify it. Is it true? ಈ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಹೇಳೋದು ಸರಿನಾ? Whether the statement, whether the intent with which he is speaking, these people are speaking, is it really at the grassroots level? Whether it is his wrong perception or reality. This is the doubt. It encourages you to take research on impact of self-help group on women empowerment. I hope you can understand. Right? Am I right?
Yes.
This is the difference between generate the topic through ChatGPT, understanding the society and create the research problem. So therefore, doubt in you, self-help groups are empowering women. It is your research issue, research topic which you are trying to empirically verify. For that, you are stating null hypothesis that no, not like that. Yellow one kade irbodu kelu kade. Not all these times. It is not true that self-help groups are empowering. Whether you are becoming member in SHG or not membering in SHG, there is no much difference. It is your null hypothesis. You don't expect null hypothesis is to be rejected. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಇದೇ ರಿಸರ್ಚಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ನಡೆದ ಘಟನೆ ವುಮೆನ್ ಎಂಪವರ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? See, there was one question. It happened in 10 years back. One of my scholar in our department, she has one question on the topic. ನೀವು ಗಂಡ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಅಸಲ್ಟ್. What is your reaction for assault by your husband? What is the expected answer? ಏನೇನು ಉತ್ತರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು? ನೀವು ಗಂಡ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆ. ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಉತ್ತರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ? ವಾಟ್ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ? ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೊಡಿತೀವಿ ಒಂದೇ. ಆಯ್ತು, ಎರಡನೇ ಮತ್ತೆ
Simply keep quiet. Simply.
I will just have complaint, give the police complaint. Okay then. What are the alternatives? Tell me.
You are not speaking.
ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅದೇ ಹೊಡಿತಾರ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು, ಬಿಡಂಗಿಲ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, ತಿರುಗಿ ನಾವು ಬಿಡ್ತೀವ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಗಂಡು ಹೊಡಿದೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರು, ಗಂಡು ಹೊಡಿದೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಸರ್ ಹೊಡಿತಾರೆ. ಹೊಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಒಂದಾಗಬೇಕು, ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದೇ ಜೀವನ. ಗಂಡು ಹೊಡಿದೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಹೊಡಿತಾರೆ, ಅದ್ರಾಗ ಒಂಥರ ಮಜಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಗಂಡ ಹೊಡಿಯೋದ್ರಾಗ ಒಂಥರ ಮಜಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಜೋಕಿಂಗ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೌ ಟು ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟ್ ದಿ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್. ನಾವು ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಅಸಲ್ಟ್ ವುಮನ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎಂಪವರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಎರಡು ಕನಸು, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ನಡ ರಾಜ್ಕುಮಾರ್ ಮೂವಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತೆ. ಹೊಡೀರಿ ನೀವು, ಹೊಡೀರಿ, ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಮುಟ್ರಿ. ಅದ್ರ ಒಂದು ಡೈಲಾಗ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತೆ. ಇಫ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ವುಮನ್ ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿ ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ಎಂಪವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ತಗೋಬೇಕು? ಎಂಪವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಏನಿಂದ ತಗೋಬೇಕು? ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಹೊಡಿಬಾರ್ದು, ತಿರುಗಿ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು, ಹಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಡೈವರ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಹೊಡಿತಾರೆ, ಹೊಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಜಗಳ ಉಂಟು ಬರಗೋ ತನಕ ಇದೆ. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೈಟ್. ಸಿ ಹಿಂಗಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ವೈ ಡು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ನಲ್ ಹೈಪೋಥಿಸಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್? You are trying to give an empirical test. ಸರ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ, ಬಂಗಾರದ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಅವ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಬಂಗಾರನ ನೋಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಬಂಗಾರದ್ದು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನಿದೆ? ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಗೋಲ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಗೋಲ್ಡ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ದಿಸ್ for the sake of your
example or something,
just for laughing.
Hypothesis how it
I hope you can change your mindset. My point, change your mindset from all the directions. ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ try to be developing conceptual framework. ಇದೇ ಕಾಂಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಒಂದು ಮಹಿಳೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ವೈಭಾಗ ಬಂತು. PhD ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು, ನಾವು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ. ಈಗ 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಆಗಿದ್ದಿದ್ದು, 12 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ. ಇನ್ನು ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ 10 ವರ್ಷ ತಡೆ, ಬಟ್ ಖುಷಿ ಅದೇ, ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್, what is do you have any idea to take some research topic? Yeah, yes sir, I want to do research on SHGs and microfinance and women empowerment. Can you define empowerment? She told, empowerment sir. Empowerment sir. Empowerment is taking decisions sir, defined in different way. I asked her, do you feel that you are empowered? Do you really feel that you are empowered? She told, yes sir, I am empowered. Then I allowed other people to ask questions. They asked questions. Again, I wanted to test her. Looking at you, I can draw conclusion that you are married. Where do you stay? I am staying in Tumkur. ತುಮಕೂರಿಂದ ಹೋಗೋದು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗಂಡ ಇಷ್ಟು ದೂರದಿಂದ ಓಡಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಸರ್, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗಂಡ ತುಮಕೂರಿಂದ ಬೇಡ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡು, ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಸೀಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗಂಡ ತುಮಕೂರಿಂದ ಬರೋದು ನೀವು ಬೇಡ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡು ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯಾ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್ಡ್. ಸಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಎನಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್. ಸಿ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್ಡ್. ಮೇ ಐ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್? ಏನು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಮೈಲಿಂಗ್. ಮೇ ಐ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್? ಎಸ್, ಸಿ ಪರ್ಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಮಿ ಟು ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸರಿ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ನೀವು, ಆರ್ ಯು ಎಂಪವರ್ಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಸ್ ಅಂತ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಆಸೆ ಇದೆ ಓದಬೇಕು ಅಂತ, ಗಂಡ ಬೇಡ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್. ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಎಂಪವರ್ಡ್? ಸಿ, ಚೇಂಜ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್. Social behavior, see, social behavior is so complex. You have to understand the crux of the issue. You have to go into the depth of that issue. Leave it. So that's what I mean. I try to give narrative about what is this null hypothesis. Whether that null hypothesis need to be rejected all the times. What is the intention of keeping all that null hypothesis? And proper perception about all this concept of alternative hypothesis, null hypothesis and all that. Okay, with this. In fact, research begin with research hypothesis, which is popularly called as alternative hypothesis. Researcher begin his research with the hypothesis in his mind, as I already told. It is, you are beginning research hypothesis in their mind, and it is called research hypothesis. In the testing process, it is also known as alternative hypothesis. This I have written. Whereas in the hypothesis testing process, another hypothesis which is opposite to this hypothesis is formulated, and it is also known as null hypothesis. So membership in self-help groups has not enhanced the saving level among the women. So this is what the research hypothesis or alternative hypothesis and the null hypothesis. So in the entire process, our focus is on rejecting the null hypothesis or not rejecting the null hypothesis, nothing other than that. Whether our data support the rejection of null hypothesis or not supporting the rejection of null hypothesis. Don't get confused. Okay, this is the thing. And these are some of the most important points which you have to consider while testing the hypothesis. First is, do you have information about the nature of population distribution? What kind of, whether population is normally distributed, whether it is fit into Poisson distribution, normal distribution, what kind of distribution it is. If you know it, if you know the sample distribution, you go for parametric test. All this t-test, ANOVA, these are all parametric tests. Chow test, Chow-Sep test, these are all parametric tests. If you don't know anything about the nature of population distribution, it is called non-parametric. There are, in fact, parametric tests are more popular, particularly in economics and commerce and all that things. I think most of the people get confusion about this distribution. What is this distribution? Actually, if you don't have proper perception about the concept of distribution, you cannot understand the hypothesis testing at all. Just to enable you to understand, let me give what is this distribution. What is the sampling distribution? The sampling distribution is, say, imagine that you are drawing all possible samples of size n from a population, and for each sample you are calculating a statistic. So for that you can calculate the arithmetic mean for a sample, and the frequency distribution of those sample means could be presented in the form of a frequency distribution. It can also be distributed, it's shown in the form of the curve. That's called sampling distribution. For example, that our population consists of the following 5 scores. Let us take very simply to understand this concept of sampling distribution. Let us take that this is the population. Population, it is not the sample. I am emphasizing it is the population. It comprises of 5 elements: 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The population mean, if you take the mean of this thing, it will be 5, 9, 14, 20 by 5. This is equal to 4. This is the population mean. And if you take the standard deviation, it will be 1.411. See, take this. What I did is, see, this is the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the population. I have taken sample of two sample size. Repeatedly taken the sample from the same population. First 2, once again 2 scores. 2, first time selection.
Then 3.
Probability sampling. Probability sampling. Pick it. Again put it. Pick it. You can choose 2. Once, Both the times 2 are selected. In another time, first selection 2, second selection 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. So many different samples.
Yes, sir.
For all the samples I have calculated the arithmetic mean.
Sample mean.
Sample mean. So if you take the mean of that means, you will get the fourth. If you take the mean of those means, you will get the fourth. Can you understand me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you present it in the form of a curve, you will get a frequency distribution curve like this. How it looks like? It is like normal distribution curve.
No distribution.
It's a normal distribution curve. So this is also like that.
Okay.
So if you are going to take the frequency, if you take samples repeatedly, calculate some statistic, present it in the form of a frequency distribution curve like this, you will get a curve like this. See, population mean will be 4. There is more likely that you will get sample mean will be close to 4. You will get samples, the probability of getting 4 is more likely.
More likely.
More likely.
Okay.
It is more likely. I'm sorry. Yeah, that population value will be for a population 4, more likely that, and it may be some actual value, maybe actual sample value may be bit less or bit more.
Okay.
Bit less or bit more. If you go extreme, frequency will be very less. Probability of getting that value is very less. See, it will cover just plus 1 or minus 1. It will cover 68.2% of the probable sample values. Plus or minus 2, it will cover 95%. Used to say 1% level of significance. It is based on this theoretical concept. Plus or minus. Many times you say, how is the table value is calculated? Based on this theoretical concept, this table values, you have table value of t. Prepared based on this concept. Table value of f. Prepared based on this concept. This is what the sampling distribution is. But in fact, majority of the scholars, most of the times, they get failed in understanding the concept of theoretical distribution or sampling distribution. This is the kind of concept of sampling distribution.
The 68.27 is come from the
after, if you take
minus 1
plus or minus 1 standard error.
Standard error.
Plus or minus, it covers 2 plus or minus. So extreme value, probability of getting extreme values is very less, right?
Okay.
And that's one thing. And now, how many sample variables you are? Whether you are how many observations? Whether you have 30 observations, 20 observations, 60 observations, based on that we will decide. If you have only, if variables, number of variables is 1 or 2, you can go for Z test or T test. If you want to compare the arithmetic mean value of 3 or more than 3 different samples, go for ANOVA. F test. And what kind of sample? Whether independent sample or dependent sample. See, if my intention is to understand during this course, on an average, how much that the participant of this training program, how much they are spending for this program. If I take some 5 samples here, it's an independent sample. If I want to know whether this training is really effective in enhancing the research capabilities of the students, I can prepare a question, a test module. Like in order to analyze your research capabilities, I developed two question papers of same standard. I will administer it. I will select some five students randomly. I administer one question paper before the beginning of this test, before this course, and after that course. Question paper is given for the same respondents. Selection of the respondent for the second test depends upon whether he is selected in the beginning or not. It is called, do you know what it is? Huh?
Paired comparison.
Exactly. It is called paired samples. Paired t-test is useful there. Independent t-test, many times used to say, independent t-test, paired t-test. They are altogether different. Actually, once what happened, one of the scholar, in my experience, it is one of a researcher who was by that time already professor in a, assistant professor in a university. He was about to submit a thesis. Only some 15-20 days were left over. He had just shown the thesis to me. I just understand, oh, why do you adopt it paired t-test here? It is wrong. You have to understand simple t-test. So somebody told me that it is paired, it is not the context which demand you to do the paired t-test. Methodological it will be, and again day and night he worked for 1 year, 1 week to change that entire things. You have to understand whether simple t-test has to be applied or paired t-test has to be applied. You have to understand it properly. Okay.
Based on the sample size.
Not sample size, context.
Context. Okay.
So you have to understand whether it's an independent sample or paired observation. Before and after, if you are collecting, I will give some case.
Okay.
Later you will understand it. I will give some case. Later you could understand this. For everything I have some cases. See, in this process you used to say, type 1 error, type 2 error in the hypothesis testing. See, we are specifying null hypothesis. Actually, focus is only on null hypothesis. You can see there. From all the direction, I have kept only null hypothesis. What is this null hypothesis? There is two possibilities. Null hypothesis may be actually true, or it may be false. These are the two actual possibilities. And decision. You may be rejecting null hypothesis, or you are not rejecting null hypothesis.
Yes.
In case if it is true, null hypothesis is true, and you are not rejecting the null hypothesis, it is right decision. If null hypothesis is actually true, you have rejected it, it is called type 1 error. Right? If it is actually false, if null hypothesis is actually false, you are not rejecting null hypothesis, it is type 2 error. If it is false, you are rejecting it, then also it is correct decision. Type 1 error, type 2 error. See, this entire hypothesis testing is concentrated only on the null hypothesis. You can see that. Focus is only on null hypothesis. Either null hypothesis may be actually true or it may be false. You may be rejecting it or you may be accepting it. Depending upon that context, there are two possibilities. One, your decision may be right, or it may lead to type 1 or type 2 error. Actually, here the importance is like that. Most of the times, what is the level of significance? What is the meaning of that level of significance? What is the meaning of that significance? Actually, in the hypothesis testing, the level of significance is your maximum allowable probability of making type 1 error. For example, I am testing it at 1% level of significance. That means I am testing it at 1% level of significance means I am taking the risk of type 1 error to the extent of only 1%. Yeah, yes sir. I am just allowing my decision to be with type 1 error only to the extent of 1%. Okay, so that is the real meaning of that level of significance. Okay, and the probability of taking type 2 error is denoted by beta. In fact, our focus is on alpha. By setting the level of significance at smaller value, you are saying that you want the probability of rejecting a true null hypothesis to be as small as possible. So people used to ask, whether, sir, what is the acceptable level of significance? Whether 1% level of significance is good, 2% significance is 10%?
5%.
Why? See, by default some softwares fix at 5. But it is depends upon what is the consequence of type 1 error. If your focus is on Focus is on testing the effectiveness of a drug. If it involves the life cost, sometimes no, let me make it as small as possible. As small as possible. It depends upon what is the consequence of following type 1 error to a greater extent. Understanding that, you have to decide whether could I go for up to 5 or 10%. Sometimes social science people used to have significance level up to 10 also. So this is the real meaning of that level of significance, and in fact this I will take another 2-3 by that time I can complete it. Yeah. Many times we used to have the concept of one tail test and two tail test. What are these things? I have shown that distribution also. Actually,
normal distribution.
Yeah, normal distribution covered that. Based on that, actually to fix that value, table value, whether I have to take table value for one tail test or two tail test, in fact that is important. But of course now these things are getting, people are not bothering much about after invention of all these software packages, because they default they will give you p values now.
P values.
People focus more on only p values.
P value.
By default they will give you p values. So there are three types of hypothesis test. One, a left tail, right tail, two tail. So one tail or two, used to say one tail or two tails. That one tail may be left side, rejection region may be on the left side, or rejection region may be on the right side. It depends upon the kind of hypothesis we define. Say for example here, null hypothesis, the population value is equal to k, mu is equal to k. Whereas in alternative hypothesis, we have mu is less than k. Mu is less than k. It's one directional. One direction means less than population. Actually, this population value is less than k. So it is, you can have rejection region on the left side. Whereas if that is, yeah, mu value, population value, mu is greater than k, it is rejection region on the right side.
K means what?
Some sample, actually, see that there are, null hypothesis. You have some, for example, let me give some example. Yeah, I have taken some sample observation.
Sample.
That population value was 4. Sample value, sample statistic. That population value is less than the sample value.
Yes, sir.
Given that case, no?
Yes, sir.
If you take that population value was equal to 4.
4.
Population mean value was 4.
4.
Sample value, yeah, if that mu is greater than k, that rejection region will be on the right. If it is not, if you have alternative hypothesis not equal to,
Okay.
see, that's both the direction. Rejection may be on the left side,
On the right
or
side.
it is called two-tailed test. So two-tailed test. So these are some of the concepts related to this hypothesis testing. Just for a quick revision, sample unit must be good representative of population to draw the conclusion. Random sampling, which gives equal chance of being selected to each unit of population, is the best sampling method. And otherwise you cannot use this inferential statistical technique. Calculate the statistics which describe the characteristics of a sample group. And conclusion is on parameter which describe the characteristics of a population. Sampling distribution, table based on the probability to make the inference, table value you are using, and decide the confidence level you want.
Yes.
Whether you want 1% level of significance or 5% level of significance. 1% means 99% you are confident on your results. And confidence in, these are some of the basic things. With this, in the next session we shall go for some practical case analysis. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Can I have some tea break for us? I don't know, as per your time norms here.